Welcome to the channel. Let's dive into another exciting Bible story. Today we're exploring the incredible life of Hannah, the amazing mother of the prophet Samuel. You're going to love this. While Hannah's story is one filled with profound faith and perseverance, it also holds within it valuable lessons for our lives. So let's dive in and see what we can learn from her. Who was Hannah? The narrative of Hannah's life is beautifully documented in the Old Testament, specifically in 1 Samuel chapters 1 and 2. Hannah was a woman who, despite facing significant challenges, exemplified unwavering faith in God. She was married to a man named Elkanah. However, they couldn't have children together, a situation that brought her great sorrow. In those times, the inability to bear children was not just a personal tragedy, but a source of social stigma. It meant that a woman's value within her community was often measured by her ability to produce offspring, particularly sons, who would carry on the family line. For Hannah, the struggle with infertility would have been emotionally and socially isolating. Despite this, Hannah's faith in God never wavered. She yearned for a child with all her heart, and her longing led her to make a vow. If God granted her a son, she would dedicate him to his service for the entirety of his life. 1 Samuel 1:27. I prayed for this child, and the Lord has granted me what I asked of him. Hannah's story vividly illustrates the transformative power of honest prayer. When she was overcome with grief and frustration over her inability to conceive, she didn't shy away from expressing her true feelings to God. Instead, she went to the house of the Lord and there poured out her soul. 2. God in a way that was so heartfelt that the priest Eli initially thought she was intoxicated. Her prayer was a raw, unfiltered expression of her pain, her despair, her anger, and ultimately her trust in God's goodness and faithfulness. Through her honest prayer, Hannah demonstrated a deep understanding of God's character. She believed that he was compassionate, merciful, and just, and that he cared about the deep longings of her heart. She knew that God wasn't indifferent to her pain. Rather, he was the God who saw her tears, heard her cries, and had a heart for her situation. Her honesty wasn't a display of doubt or disbelief, but a genuine outpouring of her spirit before the Lord. This teaches us some important lessons. Firstly, God desires our honesty, not just our polite requests or carefully crafted words. He wants us to bring our real emotions to him, our pain, our frustration, our doubts, and even our anger. Only then can we experience the true power of prayer. Secondly, honest prayer is a sign of trust. By pouring out our hearts, we are affirming our belief in God's willingness and ability to help us. Be honest with God, patience, and trust in God's timing. One of the most remarkable aspects of Hannah's story is her patience and unwavering trust in God's timing. When she first approached the house of the Lord, desperate for a child, her prayer was met with silence. It wasn't an immediate answer that she received, but rather a period of waiting that stretched over many years. During this time, Hannah didn't become discouraged or question God's goodness. Instead, she continued to trust in his perfect timing, knowing that he had a plan for her life. Her patience wasn't passive. It was rooted in a deep understanding of God's character and his love for her. She trusted that even though her prayer hadn't been answered yet, God was still working in her life, and that his timing was always right. For us today, Hannah's example is a beacon of hope in moments of waiting. Life often presents us with situations where we long for God's intervention, but we don't receive an immediate response. It's during these times that we need to remember Hannah's steadfast patience and unwavering trust. We must believe that God isn't silent because he doesn't care, but because he has a divine purpose in our waiting. He is refining our faith, preparing us for what he has in store, and ensuring that when our prayers are answered, we are ready to receive his blessings. Wait for the Lord. Be strong and take heart and wait for the Lord. Psalm 27:14. Making a sacred promise. The depth of Hannah's devotion is further highlighted by the promise she made to God. When her prayer was finally answered and she gave birth to Samuel, she didn't keep him for herself. Instead, she fulfilled her vow, returning him to the Lord in dedication for his entire life. This act wasn't just a fulfillment of a promise, but a profound declaration of faith. Hannah was essentially saying, God, you asked for something of me, and I am giving it freely, without hesitation. This teaches us about the importance of honoring our commitments to God and the significance of surrender. When we make promises to God, whether in moments of intense prayer or in everyday life, we should be prepared to follow through. Surrender isn't a one-time event. It's a lifestyle that involves a continual giving of ourselves to God, our time, our resources, our talents, and our very lives. By surrendering to God, we are acknowledging that everything we have ultimately belongs to Him. We are merely stewards, entrusted with these blessings. And when we honor our commitments to God, we experience the deep sense of peace that comes from living a life dedicated to His service. Praise in the midst of trials. Hannah's story doesn't end with the birth of Samuel. It continues with a beautiful expression of her faith, her song of praise. When her prayer was answered, she didn't just rejoice privately, but lifted up a song of praise to God, which we find in 1 Samuel chapter 2. This song, often referred to as Hannah's prayer, is a powerful testament to her faith and gratitude. In this poetic outpouring, Hannah celebrates God's power, His justice, His faithfulness, and His mercy. She acknowledges God's role in answering her prayer and expresses her joy and thanksgiving for the gift of her son. But her praise doesn't stop at her personal blessing. She extends it to God's wider dealings with humanity, recognizing His sovereignty over kings and nations. Hannah's song is a blend of personal thanksgiving and profound theological insight. Through her words, we see a woman deeply aware of God's character and His place in the world. In the midst of life's challenges and trials, Hannah's prayer stands out as a beacon of hope and praise. It reminds us that gratitude isn't something we reserve for easy times, but a commitment we make regardless of our circumstances. Through her song, she not only glorified God, but also inspired those around her to look beyond their troubles and focus on God, His faithfulness, and power. How can we apply Hannah's lessons today? As we conclude our exploration of Hannah's life, let's consider how her story can inspire and guide us in our own faith journeys. Here are 4 key takeaways to apply. Be honest with God in your prayers. He can handle your deepest emotions. Practice patience and trust God's timing, even when waiting feels impossible. Keep your promises to God and live with a heart of surrender. Praise God in all circumstances, knowing He is always faithful. Hannah's legacy continues to resonate because she exemplified a faith in action. Her story isn't just a historical account, but a roadmap for navigating life's challenges with grace and resilience. Whether you're facing personal struggles, seeking God's intervention in your life, or simply desiring to deepen your faith, Hannah's example can light your path. And if you've been inspired by Hannah's story and would like to explore more Bible stories and their life lessons, don't forget to hit that subscribe button. Also, please comment below. What's one lesson from Hannah's story that speaks to you today? I'd love to hear from you. Thanks for joining me today. May the lessons from Hannah's life strengthen your faith and guide you in your journey with Christ. Until next time, may God bless you and keep you.